Emma, a beautiful woman of 34 years old, sighed as she scrolled through her social media feed, seeing one happy couple after another. At 34 years old, she was the last of her close friends to still be single. Her mother had been dropping hints about grandchildren for years now, and Emma could feel the weight of her disappointment. "When are you going to settle down and give me some grandkids, Emma?" her mother would say, shaking her head. "All your friends are married with families of their own. What's taking you so long?" Emma would force a smile and change the subject, but the nagging feeling that she was somehow falling behind in life refused to go away. She knew her mother only wanted the best for her, but the constant pressure was starting to wear her down. One evening, as Emma was preparing dinner, her phone rang. It was her best friend, Tina. "Emma, I have the most amazing news," Tina said. "Peter proposed last night. We're getting married." Emma forced herself to sound excited, but inside, she had a feeling of jealousy. "That's wonderful, Tina. I'm so happy for you both." After hanging up the phone, Emma sat down at her kitchen table, staring at the empty chair across her. She couldn't help but wonder if she would ever find the same kind of happiness that her friends had found. A few months later, Emma's opportunity for a fresh start presented itself. Her company had just opened a new office in a different state, and they were looking for someone to take on the role of managing it. Without much hesitation, Emma applied for the position. "This is exactly what I need," she told herself. A new city, a new job, a chance to start over. To her delight, Emma was offered the job, and she quickly set about packing up her life in preparation for the move. As she said her goodbyes to her parents, her mother pulled her aside. "Are you sure about this, Emma?" she asked. "I know you're eager to get a fresh start, but what about your personal life? What if you never meet someone?" Emma smiled. "Mom, this is something I need to do for myself. I'll be fine, I promise. Who knows, maybe I'll even meet someone special in my new city." Her mother still looked unconvinced, but she knew better than to argue with her determined daughter. With a sigh, she gave Emma a tight hug. "Just be careful, my dear. And don't forget to call me often, all right?" Emma nodded, her heart swelling with a mix of excitement and fear as she embarked on her new adventure. The first few weeks in her new city were filled with various activities as Emma settled into her new job and explored her unfamiliar surroundings. She was determined to make the most of this opportunity, throwing herself deeply into her work and trying to fit into the new environment. One day, as Emma was returning from the supermarket, after getting all she wanted, she walked out to the roadside with her shopping bags. She saw a car pull over beside her and the man driving the car offered to give her a ride. A friendly-looking man in his late 30s named Chima said to her, "Why is a beautiful lady struggling with so much bags under this hot sun?" She glanced at him and said, "Do not worry, I am waiting for a taxi," but the man kept insisting. She had to accept the offer. "Let me help you with that." Before Emma could protest, Chima hopped out of the car and began helping her load her bags into the trunk. Emma felt grateful. "Thank you so much," she said, once they had everything secured. "I really appreciate your help." "It's no trouble at all," Chima replied. "I'm happy to lend a hand. Where are you headed?" Emma directed him to her apartment, and Chima nodded, climbing back into the driver's seat. "Well, then, let's get you home," he said, with a warm smile on his face. As the car moved through the bustling city streets, Emma found herself drawn into conversation with Chima. He was a friendly and engaging man, and she found herself enjoying their chat. When they arrived at her building, Chima turned to her with a smile. "You know, I don't normally do this, but would you allow me to take you out to dinner sometime? I would love to get to know you better." Emma was taken aback by the unexpected invitation, but something about Chima's kind, sincere attitude put her at ease. "I would love that," she replied, surprised at her own boldness. Chima's face lit up. "Wonderful. Here's my card, give me a call and we can work out the details." Emma put the card into her purse, a mix of excitement and nervousness building in her chest, as she made her way up to her apartment. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Chima began seeing each other regularly. They would meet for dinner or drinks, and Emma found herself really enjoying his company. Chima was a kind, attentive listener, and he seemed genuinely interested in learning about Emma's life and her hopes for the future. He would often ask her thoughtful questions, and Emma found herself opening up to him in a way she hadn't with anyone else in a long time. As their relationship deepened, Emma began to feel a sense of peace and contentment that she hadn't experienced in years. The constant pressure from her mother and the envy she felt towards her married friends seemed to melt away, replaced by a growing sense of excitement and possibility. One evening, as they strolled through a park, Chima turned to Emma and took her hand. "Emma, I have to be honest with you. I've never felt this way about anyone before. You've truly captured my heart, and I was wondering, would you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" For a moment, she was speechless. Then, a wide smile spread across her face, and she felt tears of joy in her eyes. "Yes, Chima," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Yes, I will marry you." Chima pulled her into a tight embrace, and Emma felt a sense of overwhelming happiness and relief. All the doubts and fears that had been weighing her down suddenly seemed to vanish. They walked back to Chima's car, hand in hand. In the months that followed, Emma and Chima planned their wedding with a sense of excitement and joy. Emma's mother, who had been doubting her daughter's relocation, was now overjoyed at the prospect of her only child getting married. The wedding was a beautiful and intimate affair, with only close friends and family in attendance. The sounds of laughter and the clinking of champagne glasses filled the air as Emma and her husband, Chima, celebrated their union. Their eyes filled with pure joy, reflecting the love that had blossomed between them over the years. As Emma stood at the altar, exchanging vows with the men she loved, she felt a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. After the wedding, Emma and Chima started settling into their cozy apartment and exploring their new life as a married couple. Emma's job continued to thrive, and she found herself surrounded by a supportive network of friends and colleagues. One evening, as Emma and Chima sat together on their balcony, watching the sun set, Emma couldn't help but reflect on how much her life had changed in the past year. "You know, Chima," she said, going closer to him, "I never thought I would be this happy. When I first moved here, I was so afraid and unsure of the future. But now, I feel like I've found a true sense of purpose and belonging." Chima smiled, wrapping his arm around her. "I'm so glad to hear that, my love. You deserve all the happiness in the world, and I'm honored to be a part of your journey." They shared a tender kiss. She felt truly fulfilled in her marriage. As weeks went by, they both got busy with their jobs. One evening when the couple were spending time together, Emma said, "Chima darling," Emma began, her voice filled with a newfound excitement, "I have the most wonderful news to share with you." Chima's eyes widened with anticipation, and he gently squeezed Emma's hand, encouraging her to continue. "I'm pregnant," she exclaimed, her face filled with joy. Chima's heart swelled with pride and overwhelming happiness. He pulled Emma into a tight embrace, his laughter mingling with hers as they celebrated this incredible good news. "This is the best news I could have ever hoped for," Chima said, his lips brushing against Emma's forehead. "We're going to be parents." The months that followed were full of preparations and anticipation. Emma's belly grew, and the couple excited at the tiny life that was growing inside her. They painted a room in the house, in soothing shades of blue and white, selecting the perfect crib, rocking chair, and so many sets of tiny clothes that would soon adorn their little bundle of joy. As the due date drew near, Emma found herself overwhelmed with both excitement and a touch of nervousness. Chima, always the pillar of support, reassured her at every turn, reminding her that they were in this together. The day finally arrived, and Emma's water broke in the middle of the night. Chima sprang into action, ushering his wife to the hospital with a mixture of panic and joy. After hours of intense labor, their beautiful baby boy entered the world, filling the room with his joyful cries. Emma and Chima stared in awe at the tiny human they had created, their hearts swelling with a love so pure that it left them breathless. As they held their son, the weight of their new responsibility settled upon them, but they were ready to embrace it with open arms. In the following weeks, Emma enjoyed the opportunity to care for their child full-time. She marveled at the way his tiny fingers wrapped around her own, the way his eyes seemed to follow her every move, and the way his gummy smiles lit up her world. Chima, too, was so happy, spending every spare moment he could with his family, eagerly learning the roles of fatherhood. However, as the months passed, Emma found herself missing her career life, the getting ready for work, the way she got busy and was making progress and growth. She missed the experience of working. The daily childcare, while rewarding, began to weigh on her. She found herself yearning for a new challenge, a way to contribute to the family beyond the confines of their home. One day, as she was strolling through the local market, a spark of inspiration ignited within her. A supermarket, she said, that's what I could do. The idea took hold, and Emma couldn't shake the excitement that she felt within her. Emma hurried home, her mind racing with possibilities. She knew that opening a supermarket would be a serious task, but the prospect of building something of her own filled her with a newfound sense of purpose. "Chima, darling, I have the most wonderful idea," she said as soon as her husband walked through the door. Chima, tired from a long day at the office, listened attentively as Emma laid out her plan. At first, he was hesitant, concerned about the risk and demand it will place on their young family. But as Emma's excitement became more contagious, he found himself caught up in her vision. "If this is what you truly want to do, then I'm behind you 100%, Chima declared, pulling Emma into a warm embrace. With her husband's support, Emma set out to make her dream a reality. She checked through the neighborhood, searching for the perfect location to open her supermarket. After weeks of diligent research and negotiations, she stumbled upon a promising property, a storefront that had been vacant for some time. Eager to secure the space, Emma approached the landlord, a nice-looking man. She explained her plans, her voice filled with excitement. "I'm sorry, my dear, but I can't rent this property to a single woman," the landlord said, his expression unreadable. "You will need to have your father or your husband come with you to sign the lease." Emma was fine with it. She knew she could bring her husband. "Of course, I understand completely," Emma said brightly to the landlord. "My husband will be happy to come discuss the terms. He's very supportive of my business venture." That evening, Emma excitedly told Chima about the perfect storefront she had found. "The landlord just needs to meet with you to finalize everything. When can you come with me?" Chima shifted uncomfortably in his chair, his newspaper dropping. "I'm terribly busy at the office this week, darling. Perhaps next week." But next week came and went, and Chima always had a reason he couldn't meet the landlord. A crucial meeting, a client emergency, a terrible headache. After 3 weeks of excuses, Emma was growing desperate. The landlord had warned her other parties were interested in the property. "Please, Chima," she begged one evening. "It will only take an hour of your time. I don't want to lose this opportunity." Chima's face seemed to pale slightly. "I just can't, Emma. Can't you find another location?" Frustrated and confused by her usually supportive husband's behavior, Emma went back to the landlord. "Mr. Obina," she said, "my husband has been terribly busy. Would it be possible for you to come to our home instead? Perhaps in the evening?" The landlord frowned but agreed. "Very well. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. The next evening, Emma waited nervously as Mr. Obina sat in their living room. "Chima should be home any minute," she said, checking the clock. After some minutes, Chima arrived, hugging his wife happily without noticing the guest. Just as he made his way to go into the room, Mr. Obina called out his name. "John." No one called him that. He turned towards the person and he was so shocked by who he just saw. He ran so fast to the room. Emma had to ask Mr. Obina if he knew her husband, and he told her the most shocking story of her life. John was his friend from way back. They were best friends and shared their early life together. John had died over 10 years ago from a car crash. That's why Mr. Obina had to relocate to another state, because he couldn't bear the loss. Emma tried to explain to Mr. Obina that her husband's name was not John but Chima. Then Mr. Obina showed her an obituary picture on his phone of a man who looked exactly as her husband, named John, who died 10 years ago. Emma couldn't believe what she had just seen. She felt her life crumbling before her eyes. She quickly rushed into her bedroom to confirm from her husband Chima what she just heard, but she couldn't find him. She checked everywhere but he was nowhere to be found. It was then it dawned on her that she was indeed married to a ghost. Rumors spread everywhere about Emma's ghost husband. Neighbors came to sympathize with Emma, who was still in shock and in so much emotional trauma. Days turned into weeks. Chima was nowhere to be found. That was when Emma recalled she had never been to Chima's workplace because she was a very busy woman, and Chima was always providing. She had also not met any of his family members. He told her he lost his family in a car crash and he was the only survivor. Emma had to put herself together, though it was very difficult because she had loved her husband. She decided to sell everything as the house and environment stood as a constant reminder of Chima. She relocated back with her son to her parents' house. With the love and support from her family, she slowly started a new life, a new business, and it began flourishing with time. But Emma couldn't bring herself to meet any new men. She was too scared because of her past experience with Chima. So she focused on training her child, caring for her parents, and managing her business. She lived happily with her child and parents, but she had to live with the memory of Chima.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification button for more entertaining stories. Share this video and keep the conversations coming. Please like, comment, and share your opinions on the comments section. Keep enjoying our stories with your friends and families. We love you.